It's so blatant that there's obvious gambling, point shaving, game fixing taking place in the WNBA.
The league everyone claimed was clean.
That the WNBA is actually stupid, not only to admit it.
Then they released the proof.
Yeah, I'll be requesting my Apple Pay after this.
Two of the biggest stars in women's basketball were caught on camera betting on their own game. When the WNBA deleted the evidence, everyone thought it was over. But the federal government had other plans. By the end of that week, Angel Reese and Paige Bueckers were not only suspended, but their bank accounts were seized, and they were left in tears. What really started all of this, however, was not what fans expected. It began during All-Star Weekend with a moment no one should have forgotten. Two elite players, one game, one bet, and a camera captured every single word.
You and Angel made a bet with each other on this game. Is that bet still?
This is how the rich stay rich.
Paige Bueckers and Angel Reese were not hiding. They were not being subtle. This was not whispered in a locker room or sent through private messages. It was broadcast and shared with millions because they truly believed they were untouchable. The bet itself appeared harmless on the surface, $400 on the outcome of one game. It was pocket change for professionals earning six figures. But what mattered was not the money. It was the violation, the complete disregard for the rule book, and the casual belief that no one would care. For years no one did. The WNBA's official social media account reposted the clip. The league amplified it and even seemed to celebrate it. Two stars, both highly marketable and building their personal brands. The league wanted that energy, the youth, the drama, and the authenticity of women's basketball. What it did not want was for people to actually read the rulebook, because once they did, everything changed.
Any player found by the commissioner after a hearing to have been guilty of wagering directly or indirectly, or of offering or attempting to wager money or anything of value on the outcome, score, or any other aspect of any WNBA competition shall, in the sole discretion of the commissioner, be subject to a fine, suspension, and or dismissal and disqualification from any further association with the WNBA.
This was not ambiguous. This was not a gray area. It was explicit and crystal clear. The rule had been in place for years, and every player knew it existed. Caitlin Clark knew it. Sophie Cunningham knew it. The entire league knew it. But Paige and Angel did not care, or worse, they believed they were exempt. That assumption would cost them everything. For 3 days, the betting video remained on the WNBA's official account. Then reports began pouring in, not from basketball analysts or sports journalists, but from the league's legal department. Someone had flagged it. Someone in a high position had recognized the liability, and the panic began. The WNBA quietly deleted the post. There was no statement, no explanation. It simply disappeared as if it had never existed. Most fans never noticed because most of them never saw it. But the damage had already been done because screenshots and reposts still existed. And they would be investigated.
If this was NBA players, they'd be investigated. Let's call a spade a spade. If these were two NBA players, they'd be investigated. Especially two high-profile players.
And this is where the story became even darker. The NBA had spent the last decade making examples of players. Malik Beasley, Damon Jones, Michael Porter Jr. The league acted aggressively whenever players tested the rules. Fines, suspensions, and public humiliation. The message was clear. Try to rig the game, and your career would be destroyed. The WNBA had never done that. Never. What followed was not just a league investigation, but a federal one. The DOJ had been quietly monitoring WNBA betting patterns for months. Something did not add up in the statistical models. Too many games appeared to favor specific players. Betting odds shifted in ways that made no sense. Injuries were announced at convenient times. The video involving Paige and Angel was not the beginning of the investigation. It was the confirmation.
If Paige and Angel don't get held accountable, there is a clear double standard when it comes to holding men accountable and when it comes to holding women accountable.
But here is the harsh reality that no one wanted to say out loud. The WNBA executive offices knew. At least some of them, and maybe all of them. If you examined the DraftKings data, reviewed the FanDuel numbers, or tracked the movement on over/unders in the weeks before that All-Star game, the patterns were there. Large betting swings, unusual volume, the kind of activity that suggested someone with inside knowledge was placing wagers. The league had analysts. They had access to the data. The question was never whether Paige and Angel broke the rules. The question was why executives ignored a situation that was already out of control. The news broke on a Tuesday morning, not through the WNBA or ESPN, but from a legal filing that became public through a federal court records request. According to the filing, the Department of Justice had issued a restrictive notice, freezing both players' bank accounts while investigating potential money laundering connected to illegal sports gambling. It was no longer about a $400 bet. It had become an investigation into the movement of money through their accounts, where it originated, where it was sent, and whether it was linked to larger gambling networks allegedly operating around professional women's basketball. Paige's statement came first and was brief. "I'm cooperating fully with all inquiries." Angel's was even shorter. "I did nothing wrong." But behind closed doors, the situation reportedly looked very different. By Wednesday, attention had shifted away from the bet itself and toward what investigators allegedly uncovered. Federal investigators were reported to be reviewing years of financial activity, including irregular deposits, offshore transfers, cryptocurrency transactions, and numerous smaller payments that raised additional questions. Investigators reportedly believed the patterns suggested coordination, rather than isolated incidents, and the scope of the inquiry expanded. Reports claimed the FBI was examining not only the two players, but also individuals connected to the broader WNBA environment, including referees, assistant coaches, team personnel, and league officials. Questions quickly followed. Who approved the transfers? Who recognized the patterns? Why were they not flagged through internal compliance? Were any games actually compromised? By Thursday, both players had stopped making public statements. Reports described Paige as emotionally overwhelmed while working with legal counsel as endorsement opportunities reportedly disappeared. Angel was also described as visibly emotional during interviews with investigators, with reports claiming she said she had been approached by people connected to gambling operations and did not fully understand the consequences. The public narrative shifted from star athletes breaking league rules to young players allegedly being manipulated by outside organizations. Even so, the controversy did not disappear. The league responded with a public statement from Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, saying the WNBA takes integrity seriously, is cooperating with federal investigators, and that appropriate discipline would follow if warranted. Critics argued the statement failed to address the larger concerns. They questioned whether league officials had already seen warning signs, and whether deleting the original video had made matters worse. Within days, independent analysts reportedly reviewed historical WNBA data, comparing games involving Paige and Angel with betting line movement, referee assignments, and injury reports. They claimed to find patterns that they believed deserved further review, although none of those findings alone proved wrongdoing. The controversy ultimately grew beyond one All-Star Weekend bet. It became a debate about league oversight, gambling safeguards, and whether professional women's basketball had expanded faster than its ability to monitor and enforce its own rules.
The WNBA, as I've said for a long time now, it's a money laundering scheme. It's money laundering, it's money washing.
Most people dismissed it as conspiracy theories, internet drama, or the kind of story that was easy to ignore. But when the federal government begins seizing bank accounts and investigating international wire transfers, speculation quickly turns into a legal case. The question now facing the league is simple. How many other players could be involved? How many referees? How many games? And more importantly, how many executives knew about the concerns and remained silent? As of now, Paige and Angel remain suspended while the investigation continues. Their careers remain uncertain. The league has announced an independent review led by outside counsel, while Congress has requested that the commissioner provide information on the league's internal compliance procedures. The NBA, observing the situation closely, has already strengthened its own policies with increased monitoring of betting activity, more frequent audits, and stricter penalties. The reasoning is straightforward. If one professional league could fail to detect widespread problems, No league can assume it is immune. The Paige and Angel controversy is no longer just about gambling. It has become a debate about governance, accountability, and whether rapid growth outpaced the systems needed to protect the integrity of the sport. Now the consequences are being felt. The remaining question is not simply whether punishment will follow, but how far the investigation will ultimately reach.